right, so today we're talking about nothing else but artificial intelligence, a very trendy topic, right? And breaking barriers. A lot of the times these days when we're talking about AI, we're talking about AI innovations within marketing, sales, other technological sectors that we are very much aware of, right? But what about other sectors which are also having a lot of AI innovations? So I would like to start with some facts. There's a Sweden-based whiskey brand that recently announced collaboration with Microsoft and a Finnish tech firm to create their first world's AI-developed whiskey. There's also some innovations in agriculture. For example, AI bees are taking care of the pollination. There's also NASA that turned to AI to design missions hardware, right? So a lot of great and cool initiatives, a lot of startups that are happening and innovations, but yet not always we hear about those. So today with me, I have three speakers, and I hope to tackle some of these topics with them. And first of all, I would like to start with you, Dovydas. When we're talking about traditional sectors, usually everybody says that it will take time to get companies from those industries to speed up, to have some innovation happening. What's your take on this?
So for most part, I believe that's true. Traditional companies that are not like AI first right now, it's not super easy for them to just like wake up one day and become AI powerhouses. There are a multitude of reasons, and data, like a lot of the times we hear data is like very important, and that's true. Like for actual business like applications of artificial intelligence, probably you have to had made significant investments in your data infrastructure to support any additional, like for example, any AI, real AI applications that actually provide value. Fun example with the whiskey, I'm very curious if that's actually going to be playing out as a real thing, or if it's just going to be like a marketing stunt. But if you're not talking about like marketing or being in the news for like, oh, we used AI for this crazy thing, it's like as any other technology, as any new innovation, you have to have supportive infrastructure to actually leverage that. In addition to like the data and the existing infra, you actually need to have people who understand how to use it. So these two things, they're not blockers in any way. And if there is like, I don't know, significant managerial incentives or power, that can be done rather quickly. Andrew Ng is one person who has, like, together with his team, developed like a guidebook how to do these AI transformations. There are like many more right now, but these transformations can be done like rather fast, but that requires to actually understand what you're trying to achieve and to actually invest into this into these new technologies.
These are some really good points, and let's see about the whiskey brand. Let's see if it will become a reality or not, right? It's just an announcement, but I wanted to piggyback on what you said and ask you more about Lithuania or Baltics. As a president of the AI Association here of Lithuania, do you see some startups emerging or have emerged in Lithuania around more traditional sectors?
So yeah, we actually we have Pixevia here on the stage that they are doing like very traditional like retail sector. We are seeing applications in I would say in the whole spectrum of things. And AI, there is like it's very hard to tell where AI begins and it ends, because like some statistical models can be classified as AI, especially as AI is like such a like I guess keyword right now that's very important for everybody. At the same time, some companies have been doing data analysis and like advanced data analysis for quite a long time. Banks and insurance companies, for example, very traditional, very, I guess, conservative companies, but have been using this for a very long time, have strong teams in these areas, etc. What I am observing, a lot of new startups in various fields trying to leverage these new technologies. Because what actually changed, we have this new technology, this like new hammer, which allows us to use it for new types of nails. We have new solution that can solve problems that were not solvable before, or we can be solved automatically that could be only solved by just hiring humans to do that. So these new developments now enable new startups to actually go ahead and large language models now allow me to automate some customer responses, and that's very common problem that a lot of companies have. So we see a lot of this horizontal adoption of AI, including the traditional sectors, including these, I guess, less companies that we don't think this company must be very IT advanced, have a very advanced IT technologies.
Okay, so you mentioned Pixevia. I would like to move to you, Mindaugas, and I would like to ask you a little bit more about how are you using AI to leverage customer experience when they're shopping, when they're buying, and tell us a little bit more about how your journey began.
Sure. At the beginning, I would like to emphasize one thing when we talk about grocery retail, that customer experience was substantially degraded through last 10, 20 years. At the beginning, the KPIs were introduced for checkouts, that the cashier should scan an item in 2, 3, 4 seconds, and doesn't have time to talk with the customer at all, just scans, takes payment, push your items, that's it. Later, self-checkouts were introduced, when the customer should act as a store employee and scan items themselves. And AI here changes the game with our technology and similar vendors. When the customer can just take an item from the shelf, cameras recognizes everything, and at the end you just tap card and you exit the store. That's it. It's completely different experience without the queues, without taking items to the basket, removing them, showing them, scanning them, just different thing which can be and will be introduced step by step to all stores.
And how long did it take you to get from the idea to exactly your first store?
Okay, it can take 30 minutes to explain how we were in defense, then moved to parking space, and 7 years later we are in grocery retail. So it was very long journey how we improved the system. We started in a defense with high altitude drones for Lithuania Ministry of Defense. In 2016 nobody cared. Then we moved to parking lot, and now we are in grocery field. And main reason is because we, I think, all hated experience in the stores, with queues and with kind of nonsense things which shouldn't be happening in 21st century when you have AI systems around.
Okay, and I know for a fact that you're working with a lot of big companies, not only in Europe, also outside of Europe. Can you tell us a little bit more about, having this new innovation? How does it work when you come to a big, huge corporation and you're trying to, get them as a client, make sure that they buy what you create? How is that going, that journey?
Yeah, sure. Some of our customers, huge retail groups, some of them making 70 billions in revenue. Some tech companies, we distribute us 4 billions, we work with really huge enterprises. And sometimes, some cases, with also very small players, but it's a completely different experience, different game when your startup mentality goes to go to huge enterprise, and you realize that, okay, a product is one thing, but just to take the full value of product, you should also change how enterprise works, how we make decisions, if the decisions are made by using data or not, and this all mentality also hugely impacts the value which can be extracted from our product. So one of our goals is not only to install product, but also make enterprise as digital as possible in order to extract the full value of our product. Because our product is way more complex, not only customer experience, but also we can provide a lot of data, we can improve store processes, we can make stuff way more agile.
And how long it takes approximately, for example, if you start talking with a corporate client and you get the solution out there, Can be years, months. What are we talking here?
It depends on geography. Like now we are deploying stores in the United States. We have in Europe, also like Middle East, Asia Pacific. I would say in the United States it's like a faster sales cycle. It can be just 1 year. And other countries can be 1, 2 years, sometimes even more, like to sell our products. Like it takes, I don't know. It's not. We talk about like a month. We don't talk about huge enterprises. We talk about like 9 months. It's like a super fast. 1 year is kind of okay.
All right, all right. Thanks for sharing. I would like to now move to Vita. Vita, you work within life science and you develop also AI solutions. You know, when we look into life science as an industry, it has this kind of a feeling when you think of it that it takes a long while to implement something, and also we all talk about R&D processes, right? Which is takes a lot of time. How do you deal with that? Please share a little bit more about how it's going for you with your company.
Well, pharmaceutical industry, which is our main target customer, is quite conservative. I would say that currently the implementations of the AI projects is quite taking the baby steps. I also know, because I have the financial background in banking industry. It took a while for the banks to adopt to the AI approaches and technologies and introduce them into their workflows quite slowly. But pharma is just currently realizing the potential that they have. Might have collaborating with the startups doing something in AI field, and what we are very happy to see that from the market movements, that collaborations between the startups, AI technology startups, and industry players are actually up to like 4 times, which is very good signal for anyone working also in conservative industries like pharma.
And I guess there are a lot of ethical things that come in play, right? When you work within pharma, how do you deal with that? Do you just hire very good lawyers, or what's the way? Did you experience some challenges along the way with that?
I think that, as I said, the realization that we need to do something, we need to introduce the AI technologies and the processes in their R&D workflows. The understanding is already there. Some companies are trying to do everything in-house, which is, we all know, it's not doable thing for products that they develop. As we know that currently the new medicine development takes up to 10 to 14 years and costs up to $2.6 billion. And we are very happy to see that, for example, leading AI drug discovery companies like in Silicon Medicine, they were able to already take their first AI-generated molecule to the clinical stage. So actually trying to starting the clinical trials with the people.
I'm really curious to see how many more like drug solutions we will have and medicine solutions we will have in the future. Because like you said, in Switzerland and Zurich, they're already doing a lot with that. Now, I wanted to ask everybody this question, right? So everybody on the stage, it's about personalization, because when we're talking about AI, of course, a lot of the times we mention personalization. It helps within any kind of sector that we're talking about, right? So have you experienced some hurdles, or maybe you're seeing some key trends when it comes to personalization in these sectors that are not the traditional ones? Maybe Dovydas, you want to start?
So you're right that personalization is very important in like most companies. As anyone who deals with like different types of users benefits from understanding like these groups better and like analyzing the dynamics that each of the groups have. So to answer your question, like what we are observing in personalization is like, in my opinion, the most like obvious trend is the large language models and the personal assistant chatbots, because they can understand a lot more context and a lot more unstructured context that like compared to the what we could do like easily with systems before that. So like if your user has like an unstructured chat with your support agent, now you can take this information into account. You can understand what happened there, and you can like take actions based off that. So I would say that like I would not say that this is particular to like non-traditionally strong like IT sectors. I think it's relevant for everybody, like the leverage of the large language models and the level of understandability of the users and personalization that it enables.
It's definitely relevant for everybody, for all sectors. I'm thinking maybe in some traditional sectors it will take a while for some of the personalization aspects to be applied. For example, pharmaceuticals. How is that with personalization?
Well, I think that we are quite far from that point. As I mentioned, we are in a very, very beginning of this in this particular industry. But I think that there is a lot of startups out there working with the clinical trial phase, which is the most expensive part of the new drug development. And there is a lot of technologies, and especially AI technologies, that can actually help to select the most appropriate things for the clinical trials. And the other thing that we need to be more aware in this particular industry is the health data is very sensitive. Yeah, you don't want to share your personal data with any technology provider or anyone. So there is all these things that are related to the data security to also make sure that the data that actually are developed during the clinical trials, that even if this particular trial is fail, which is like 1 out of 10 currently, unfortunately. It's a very expensive game to be in for our pharmaceutical companies. For those companies, it's very important to select the right, for example, pool of the people for particular clinical trial. And as we probably all know, that there is a cases where for many people some kind of new vaccine or drug is actually the last hope, right? So you want to make sure that that particular person actually gets this particular treatment. So it's a very, very long time where we still need to go until like very, very personalized medicine in the future. But I think that we are, with the help of the AI and the latest technologies that are coming out to the market, I think there is a huge potential for that.
All right, I hope it will move a little bit faster than we expect. Mindaugas, I have the same question for you, right? When you work within retail, within grocery shopping, everybody has that question about, hey, am I being filmed? Am I being, somebody tracking me? How do you deal with those kind of challenges? Or is it changing with generations?
Okay, like if you talk about grocery stores, yes, you can see a lot of cameras in any store for security purposes alone. In our case, we introduce more cameras and we do more data analysis, but cameras are not new things in any of the stores. When we talk about personalization, we can talk about most likely 3 different levels. One is already happening and mainly based not on camera data, but on your sales data when you get personalized offers based on the things you purchased earlier. Second most likely thing will be localization of the store, which is not happening right now, because the store should have different assortment when the store is placed close to student campus, compared to the store placed like in a residential area or office space. Especially important for smaller stores because you don't have like a huge variety of space and you should put items accordingly based on customer habits. And here, like AI systems can super helpful because we know, for example, things how fast the decisions are made close to the shelf. It's like it takes, forever to choose one or another item, or customers knows and they used to pick one or another item. And the first is not yet and will require also acknowledgement from the shopper when personalization is made based on the customer journeys and like a specific picked which items were picked, which items put back. If you, I know, pick 5 items and you still cannot choose, most likely, I know, like you should be provided better price or layout should be changed. And we are not here, but like data privacy is super, super important here. And I would say retailers play very fair game. Like each time you are asked if you can be provided personal data or not. If not, no, like a personal data will be collected because like it's regulated very, I know, strongly, especially in European Union.
All right, so I hope you all are taking notes because these are some really good points that you just made, all of you here. Since we don't have that much time left, I still want to touch one topic before we end this discussion, and that is looking ahead, right? We're always trying to see what's coming. So again, a question for everybody, but let's start with you, Dovydas. What do you foresee in the near future when it comes to AI and startups? Maybe some sectors still are behind. What would be your opinion, where we could try to find more solutions in which sectors, because there are today a lot of people who maybe are aspiring founders or are founders already. So what could you see are the potential opportunities?
Yeah, so I'm a strong believer that every sector can benefit from like adopting and using AI technologies. I do not want to say like, oh, I believe like whatever healthcare is the most important one, don't bother with anything else. I feel that there are so many potential applications, and the niche does not have to apply to the whole, like whatever, like everything that you do, you just have to apply to one thing that you do with your startup. So I believe that the technology right now has made like this very significant leap forward, like based on just products such as ChatGPT. We have uncovered some like very large area where these models can be applied, and I hope to see in the world and in Lithuania as well that we are going to see a lot more startups taking this technology, understanding what value it can bring for our users, just adapting it maybe a little bit as like ChatGPT is so adaptable that like just adding a prompt is sometimes enough, and like with proper understanding of the user journeys and user profiles and their like problems that you're trying to solve, you can very easily create a valuable startup with just the technologies that are like almost already available. So I see unprecedented opportunities with AI right now.
For any industry, right? For all of us.
For any industry, I believe any industry, I give you a challenge that any industry, we can think of applications where AI would add very significant value and solve like real user problems for which the users are willing to pay.
All right, and since you two are founders, I would like to ask you, what tip or advice would you give for somebody, for example, trying to enter pharma market with their AI solution? What to avoid, or maybe what not to avoid?
We started several years ago, and when we look at the market, it was like, I don't know, maybe 70, 75 companies working with the AI in drug discovery, particularly. Few weeks ago, we checked the market. What is the temperature there? Currently, there is 800 companies. The drug development, of course, it's a huge and very long, like process, and there is a lot of things that could be done in this particular field. Especially, I think that one of the most impressive parts is actually clinical trials, as I mentioned, because it's most costly, and everyone is trying to figure out how we can do it faster and more efficient, which technologies we can use for that. And would I suggest particularly look on the pharmaceutical market in general? Maybe, but because this industry, it takes all the sales cycles and finding the customers and actually to getting to the customers to get what they need, it takes a lot of nerves, time, and actually very good network to actually work with. And I think it's in general for every industry. Let's not touch the pharma. I think it's a very good time to be alive for everyone who wants to do anything. And if you are not doing that right now, so don't do at all. It's
All right. What's your take, Mindaugas?
Just if I can give a couple of advices, most likely in all fashion industries, prepare for very long sales cycles. Prepare to work with enterprises which are not agile as you in any way, just a completely different culture, completely different way of making decisions. But also, super important, if you will be successful, most likely you will face few competitors and also you will access to enormous market. So like a couple of advantages and some disadvantages.
How do you know if you are successful? Is it the sales that give that away, or?
Like if you can cope with demand, you are certainly successful in like a fashion market.
All right.
Maybe if I may just add something to what Mindaugas said.
Go ahead.
That could be maybe your competitive advantage. If you are prepared to work with companies that are not agile, maybe that's your competitive advantage because others might not be willing to do that. So that's like if you are a founder, maybe that's, you can bridge the gap between the old school of management and the new school of management and like show that the new ways are better, but you can work with the old ways as well.
And I guess bring your willpower and strength with you to kind of get those companies to sign with you, right? In the long perspective. All right, so that was it for the day from our wonderful panelists here. I hope that it was interesting for you guys. I hope you got some new ideas, inspiration, and there's still a lot to be done within the traditional sectors, right? There's still a lot of niches. Just the other day, I did like a search on different sectors, and I can see lots of gaps, lots of new things coming, right? Space tourism, a lot of other things, digital remains, whatnot, right? So I hope this inspires you, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you.